What's up, guys? So this is a bit different than my usual content, but there was some news that dropped today that I actually wanted to talk about. Don't mind all my many tabs up there. It's just kind of how I do things. But I wanted to talk about a couple articles that PlayStation released today. One, I wanted to talk about this one first, involving the PlayStation 3 store. So essentially, what they're saying is after a couple of decades of support, they're gonna be closing down the PlayStation Store, the PS3 store specifically, sorry, and the PS Vita store. So they'll be closing it in select markets this year, followed by global closures next year. This means that new content purchases will no longer be possible once the store closes, but you'll still be able to download games you've already bought and purchased and stuff after the closing date. And then let's see, as PlayStation Store continues to evolve to support modern commerce systems, including updated payment processing standards, PS3 and Vita will no longer be able to support these updates. Oh yeah, because you can't even have your card information on the PS3. I forgot about that. Because like I've been making purchases, and you have to basically like you have to put it in your wallet just so you can even buy it. You know what I mean? Because you can't just straight up have your card information on the storefront there, because it's different than the PS Store is now. But there's actually some countries that are closing sooner, like Mexico, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Their stores closing literally next month, and then additional Latin America and Middle Eastern countries are closing in late 2026, probably like December maybe. In other countries, the store will close in a year. So I think like Europe and America and stuff like that, and some other countries. Then they try to go like this whole spiel about how the news could be disappointing, and yeah. You guys they tried to do this before. Remember, they did try to shut down. They did try to shut down the PS3 store, and then people protested it, and they just said, "Oh, all right." Although I have a feeling that that's not gonna happen this time. I think this might be final. I feel like if they're really trying to push, or if they're really trying to say this, that I don't think there's gonna be anything that'll change it. At least not this one, but the other news, when we get to that may be different. We'll see. But yeah, it is actually kind of disappointing, because there's a lot of games on the PlayStation 3 store that you just can't get anywhere else. Because I'm trying to buy the Final Fantasy 13-2 and 13-3 so I can add them to my platinum trophy runs or whatever, if I decide to do that. Anyways, I'll get to that later. But yeah, there's this one game in particular that a lot of RPG fans have been kind of hoping would get re-released, and that's Xenogears. And you can only get that on the PS3. You can't get it anywhere else. It's not on Steam. I believe it's not on Steam. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's not on Steam. Actually, I actually look at that right now, because I would own it. I'm fairly certain I would own it yeah. So I think the only way you can get it is at the PS3 store, or if you emulate it. Because it's not available on Switch either. Which would be crazy, because Nintendo owns Monolith Soft, and Monolith Soft was the one that did Xenogears. So you would think, or at least, because Monolith Soft is full of a lot of Square devs. So yeah. But that's probably a whole problem. But anyways, like, Xenogears is a game you can't get anywhere else. And that sucks. But like, unless Sony is planning on bringing over the entire library, but they've said that bringing PS3 games over to the PS4 and PS5 has been really tricky, because the hardware for the PS3 is fucking weird, and they've been kind of bringing them over, like some PS3 games, but a lot of the other ones you can only stream them, and that's through the service, so it's it's crazy, so a lot of those games are not going to be purchasable anymore, and that sucks. So if you were looking on buying some games, if you're looking on buying some games, I would get on that real soon. A shame for people in Mexico, Honduras, and Nicaragua. You only have a month, so damn, that really blows. And I don't know. I kind of felt like this was gonna happen at some point. Like it was bound to happen at some point, but it doesn't make it any less like shitty. It's still very sad and disappointing. So yeah, I'll be doing that. So if anybody else wants to get any games, I would get on there and get those games now. And hope like hell Sony doesn't take them away from you. So that's this news, and I wanted to talk about this other article. And this is the big one. If the headline doesn't give it away, woohoo. Physical disc production ending in January of 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. Uh-oh. Oh man, they got like a whole lot of comments. How is 602 people like this? Shame on you people. How do you like this? I don't get it. Well, I'm glad that number is really low in comparison to the comments. I'm pretty sure they're getting flamed. I'm pretty sure a lot of those comments are bad. So in response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. Bullshit. I'll get to the article real quick before I start ranting. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. Thank fuck I can get Final Fantasy VII Revelations on disc. That's coming out next year. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment, blah 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 blah, to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. I mean, they're not wrong in that case. We'll get to that in a second. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. Oh, I'll talk about that too. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation in how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games, whether that's all retailers or PlayStation Store. We remain committed to delivering a world-class game. It's a lot of HR mumbo jumbo or whatever hoopla. The one point the thing I want to talk about first is the natural direction for it, because the preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. I mean, yes, true. They aren't wrong, because what was it? Isn't it like a 90% ratio to like 10%, or it could be I don't know, but it's like over the last like 5 years plus, digital sales have like far outpaced physical, mostly. And for me, I have started buying my games more digitally because it was more of a convenience factor. Because way back when I was getting games, like all my games physical, going to like GameStop or like Best Buy or somewhere, getting them from like the midnight launches or whatever, you had to wait till midnight. They could not release them sooner. Unless you had like connections at a mom and pop store, you could get the game like 2 weeks early. Some people still do that, and that's where a lot of leaks come from, those assholes. But but anyways, yeah, you had to go there and get the game. And then a lot of the times East Coast, like, because my time zone is Mountain Daylight Time, so East Coast would have already had the game like 2 hours before I even got it, and so it was like a lot of the convenience. That's why I started buying them digitally, because I could start playing them at 10 p.m. Basically the same as everybody else. So like 10 p.m. my time, it's midnight over in East Coast. So so everybody in America is able to play it at the same time, which is nice. That was mostly what it was. Other than that, or like the sales, but like the sales on the PlayStation Store, I've gotten a lot of games like much cheaper than buying it at full price. But you can also do that with physical games too. You can go to like GameStop or something and try to find the game used, or you can, there's other methods of buying it. A lot of other retailers. So yeah, I mean, they're not wrong, but to be honest, they're just basically basing this off of the sales. They're like, oh yeah, since there's more digital sales, why the hell should we put any effort into doing physical discs? You know? And it kind of screws over a lot of people that do buy their games physical, because a lot of people do like to buy their games with the box that's disc in it. Even if it was just a box and had no disc in it, they still want the box so they can put it on their shelves. You know, they like to share their collections with people, you know, on social media and whatnot, or with friends who come over. They can see the games on the shelf, you know, and they can be like, oh man, you own that game? You know, they see what they own, you know. It's a collector's thing, you know what I mean? And that screws over a lot of those people, because now they can't do that. And even then, some people just prefer physical disc anyways, because they feel like they own the game, which has become kind of a rising trend in the industry nowadays, is that a lot of people think that you don't own your games. And, you know, there's some truth to that, for sure. Because I don't know if any of you have heard that article or whatever, where Sony was going to shut down. Like, let me go pull that up real quick. Let's see. Sony. Let's see if I can. They did not have an actual Sony article over there. But anyways, like, so Sony is removing over 500 movies from the PlayStation accounts users already paid for. Now, see, that's important. So, I guess it's due to like licensing agreements, but you know, it's still bullshit. Okay, because think about that. They're removing over 500 movies from PlayStation accounts. So you've already paid for those movies, right? And they're gonna just take them away, and you can't watch them anymore. So now imagine if you we'll switch over here. Now imagine this. You switching over to my PlayStation here. I have 518 games on there. You see? A lot of these are kind of betas and stuff like that, but betas or demos or something like that, or like free to play games that I never really played. But like, imagine if you just wake up one day, or I wake up one day, and Sony just says, oh yeah, we're removing like 500 games from the PlayStation Store. And if you bought those games, you can't play those anymore due to licensing agreements. You know, that's not good. You know, that it's kind of scary. It's kind of a scary thought, because it could possibly happen, you know? And it's like this slippery slope where it's like, Sony's doing it with movies. What makes you think they won't do it with games? Since you don't really own them anyways, you're basically just buying the license off their storefront. You know what I mean? And so it's actually incredibly frustrating, because I also kind of felt that this was going to happen after pretty much this. I kind of thought this was going to happen once they released the PlayStation 5 Pro, and basically they were selling the disc tray separately. It was kind of starting to tell you a little bit of how Sony kind of, you know, feels about physical media, you know? And from like the business side, yeah, it saves them a lot of money, because GTA 6 is doing the same thing. You know, there's not going to be a physical disc. You basically just buy the box and it's got a code in it. And PC's been doing that for a long time. Like a long time. Where I even remember, if you bought like PC games back in the day, they had like an install disc, I think it was. Like it had like an install disc or whatever. Or a lot of the times it just had like a code, and you would just put the code in, and that's how you would basically get the game for PC. Now you just buy everything off Steam. You know, it's kind of widely accepted that way, but I just think consoles are a little bit different than PCs though. Because consoles were always they were kind of built for that in mind. You know what I mean? Where it's like you bought a console, it's there, it has like a disc tray or a cartridge thing depending on which console it was. You know, you bought the game, you put it in there, easy install, not even an install really, you just played the game until like PS3 when you had to like install the fucking game. You remember how long it took for Metal Gear Solid 3 to download? Holy cow. Yeah, anyways, but you know, you had to install the game, and I don't know, it's just it's weird, a lot of the trends that are going on. And they say that like, yeah, we're doing this because, you know, the changes in the industry, consumer trends and stuff like that, because yeah, people buy more games digitally than physical. But even now, it's made me consider, because I've actually been considering this for several years, to just go buy physical copies of games that I already own. You know, like the Final Fantasy remake games, or like Tactics, or anything, you know, any game, or like the Resident Evil games. Like a lot of my favorite games, I wanted to get those because you can have them in case stuff like this happens, where games get taken away from you, could be taken away from you. It's possible it could be, and it's crazy. And then also another thing that I think about this too is that like now they're trying to go like this digital only kind of thing. So the PlayStation 6, most likely going to be a digital only console. It's not going to have a disc tray at all. And it's going to be like $1,000. It's going to be like $1,000 if you've heard reports. Possibly, we don't know yet. But it's all hearsay. Could be $1,000. It's going to be physical only. It could be possible that Sony is now going to start doing these subscription services more often. They want to do more live service games. I've heard that they said that they wanted to do. They guess apparently learned nothing from Concord. They learned nothing from that game. Jeez. And then, and it's like people don't want a bunch of live service games on the market, you know? Like they have their game, their forever game or whatever. You don't need to do more of that. It's I don't know. It's so tone deaf on their part, on Sony's part, to do this. And I kind of feel like a little bit of backlash on this might change their mind. This one's more like this one could possibly get changed, but I don't think the PS3 store one is going to. I think that one's going to get closed down regardless. I think they've just kind of had it with supporting it. And with the physical one, I think with enough backlash, maybe they might change their mind on this one, because that's just bad. Like this is just bad. It's like, even though I haven't bought physical discs in a long time, like I still feel for people that prefer to do that, you know? Because like people want to feel like they own their games, and a lot of the times you don't own their games. And even with the trends nowadays, I think a lot of the games you buy the disc and you still have to download the game, you know? Like there is some games that you can play with like the straight 1.0 version, like unpatched or whatever, and you can play that game and you don't have to patch it. There's some ways to get around that, you know? But then like there's a lot of like there's games that just have like day one patches, and you like have to download it or something like that, or you just download the game, period. Like you don't put the disc in and then suddenly you can just, you know, plug and play kind of thing. You still have to download something. Yeah, so like this news is just very tone deaf, at least lately. Like on top of like all the studios getting closed down too. Like the studios getting closed down because they're not making enough sales for the shareholders, you know? Like it's not enough for them, so we're gonna shut down the studio. You know, you heard that about like with Xbox. There's rumors. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but there's rumors that the couple studios are gonna get shut down before their games even got released. After they just got released like 2 weeks ago, or not announced 2 weeks ago. Like, could you imagine if, say, like Wolverine was announced during the state of play, and then all of a sudden Sony goes, "Yeah, we're shutting down Insomniac." It's like, what? Before Wolverine even comes out? The fuck? I don't think that would happen, but you know, it's just say imagine, you know, fucking imagine. And it's crazy, like so many people losing their jobs, and then you know, after the whole Destiny thing, you know, Destiny being basically discontinued and stuff. And then they laid off like 50% of Bungie's workforce, but they still want to do live service games? What the fuck? What the fuck, Sony? You had a live service game, like already established. You could have just said, we're going to make D3. There's your live service game. You already had an install base for it. People are clamoring for it. And then you guys are just like, nah, we're going to do these other games. And what, shut them down too? I don't know. Incredibly tone deaf. Incredibly tone deaf. This industry is pretty tone deaf in a lot of ways. Like, you get some good things, and then you get some like complete like boneheaded moves, and it's frustrating. And I'm mostly worried about like what's gonna happen with this. Like, what's gonna happen with the store, the PlayStation Store? They're gonna start pushing more subscriptions? Are games gonna start becoming subscriptions? Because I think I saw another article. I don't remember who did it, or I pulled it up on Twitter. But they were saying that like Sony's messing around with like pricing differences in different areas or something, some shit like that. So it's like, what? So some games are going to be this price, and then some games are going to be this other price in the store? Like, what the hell, man? It's weird because yeah, now without the physical disc, Sony completely controls the pricing on their storefront, and that's essentially what they want you to do, you know. And it's like, oh, I'm just worried about what's gonna happen in 2028, you know, after this happens, you know. Like, damn, man, crazy. But ultimately, this has made me just like want to get more of my games physical, just in case, you know. And I think in the coming years, I'm gonna be more investing into like PC hardware. I think I'm just gonna start switching over to PC because I've already started like purchasing games that I already own on the PlayStation, you know, just getting them over on like, I know my list isn't really that big, but like, oh yeah, Chrono Trigger. Thankfully you can buy Chrono Trigger on the PC because you can't get that on the PS3 anymore. You know, Breath of Fire 4, you know, some games like release Xenogears over here, then it won't be such a big deal, you know, so you don't have to emulate it. But anyways, that was just a side tangent. But like, yeah, I might just start investing into like PC hardware, just moving over there and stuff. And because it's like, yeah, I still like the PlayStation, you know. I still like the PlayStation. I'm not just gonna suddenly be like, I'm gonna sell the fucking thing, you know. I'm gonna sell it and get rid of everything, you know. No, I don't think I'm gonna do that. But I just can't get behind that decision, to be honest. I just can't. It's not a good idea. And a lot of people are going to be pissed off about it. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what Sony does. We'll see what the backlash keeps them from. If they still are going to be like, nope, this is what we're doing. Or if they change their mind and still create physical. But, I don't know. This is different from my usual content. I just had to rant a little bit about this. It's different from. Because I've been kind of in the process of working through the Final Fantasy games. I was talking about that earlier about buying Final Fantasy 13, 2, and 3. Because I've been in the process of doing the Platinum trophies for the mainline Final Fantasy games. Minus 11 and 14. Because those are MMO games. And 13 by itself will take like 6 months to Platinum unless they change that. But anyways, mostly I was doing like the single player games. I've already gotten to like Final Fantasy 5. So I've already Platinumed 1 through 4. And everything like that. And that was the kind of the content that I was looking to release, but I had to talk about this a little bit. I don't usually talk about news all that much. Maybe I might start doing that. You know, start dropping some news videos while I'm in the process of editing the playthroughs. I don't know, maybe I might change it, because I did want to like do the, oh, this is my platinum trophy journey and stuff like that, but I don't know if I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this old man yell at clouds for a little bit. This old man yell at clouds and talk about the good old days when you used to go buy games and chill in line and talk to people for a midnight launch. Don't do that much anymore. But yeah, thanks for listening to me rant. Maybe I'll do some more news videos. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What you guys are planning on doing. If you're planning on switching to the Switch 2, Nintendo Switch, or Xbox, or going PC, or sticking with Sony, or are you just gonna keep playing on the PlayStation, but you're still pissed off about it? You know, just let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.